Hey, welcome everyone to today's Distress Sale University coaching webinar. And today I'm got a special request for you. Pull out your notepad because you're definitely going to make some notes today. Because what I'm going to share with you, in my opinion, is something that most real estate agents that I come into contact with, even in our coveted Platinum program, even in that program, there are many realtors that are just not doing that great of a job with their for sale signs. Okay, so you're going to see some things today, and much information is going to be revealed to you that if you put it into action, if you take action on what I'm going to share with you today, oh my gosh, you will get more leads. Okay, so thanks for joining us. My name's Todd Walters, and I'm the Platinum Coach with Craig Proctor's Real Estate Coaching. And you know what? It's a shame to have for sale signs out there, whether it's 1 or 100, in your marketplace, and not really truly being able to leverage them. Okay, so grab your notepad, take some notes, because this is going to be great stuff. How many of you listening and watching this webinar right now, how many of you really like sign calls? Like, if you could wave a magic wand, you would want more of them, right? So to me, a lot of real estate agents really love the sign calls. They tell me they do. I wish, but for whatever reason, they just don't really work to get more sign calls. I never really understood that, but hey, I'm going to share with you today how you can do that. So are you asking yourself the question right now? Okay, as I kind of get my stuff together here and chit-chat with you, but do you ever ask yourself the question of, hey, how can I get more sign calls? And do you ever really ask yourself that question? Because most real estate agents, they say, hey, look, I would love to have more sign calls. I sure wish I could get more sign calls. So I guess I need more listings, or I need more listings like that really hot one over there at 1065 Gunter Court. But they fail to look at the real opportunity staring them right in the face, which is, you got signs. If you could just do a few more things or some things differently with your for sale signs in terms of the marketing aspects of it, specifically direct response marketing, you would increase your calls. So I'm going to ask you to stop guessing a little bit, and I know that most everybody on the call, they get wild ideas about their for sale signs and doing this and doing that, but I'm going to share with you what works. Now, you can do whatever you want to do, but you should definitely copy what I'm going to be sharing with you, okay? Copy it, and then you test against it. Okay, so a couple of things I want to set straight here before we get going, and I show you some of the remaining slides here and really get into the meat of today's webinar, is that a lot of cool things come along over the course of time, right? One of which recently is texting. Okay, so many web companies and other service providers are telling you that you can put up a sign or a rider on your, on your for sale signs, and tell the prospects at the street there to text you. Text 1234 to 5678 for information on this property. Okay, and that provides you with their cell phone number. Okay, now there's a lot of things about that I absolutely hate. Okay. And I'm going to share with you why here momentarily. Because you want to get their phone number, but you also want to compel the prospect to action. Like, what if you could still get their phone number, but also compel them on their own volition, they become motivated to want to do something that moves them closer to you, instead of just getting a feature sheet. Okay, so we're going to look at for sale signs today in terms of pure lead generation. All right, well, that's the word. We talked about this a little bit at our recent conference, but I'm going to share a little bit more of it with you today. Pure lead generation. So if you want more leads, raise your hand. If you love sign calls and you want more of them, raise your hand. Now, I can't see you, but I just want you to really be prepared here for what we're going to talk about, okay? All right, so now that we got everybody's attention on it, since the mid-'90s, 1993, 94, 95, we've been testing a lot of various for sale sign models, okay? Now, let me put this into perspective for you real fast, okay, for me personally, and I'll go back and I'll throw myself up there on the screen. Now, remember, for more than a decade, for about 15 years, okay, I listed more retail property, individual Mr. and Miss Smith home sellers, no corporate accounts, listed more than every real estate agent in North America, minus 2 or 3. Okay. Yes, there were months and years where we would put on 40 to well over 100 listings on any given month, new additional listings, signing listing agreements. Okay, and that's a lot of listings. At one time, we had listing inventory of 380 or so sellers. Okay, so when you've got that many listings and you're pretty good at generating sign calls, then yeah, your business is going to be really good. So those are things you need to be aware of. So what I'm sharing with you now, look, this is not something that's theory or ideas. Okay, this is true, tested, field-tested stuff that works. Craig Proctor is the one that taught me, and it was based on his experience of selling thousands of homes. So I carried it over, and we communicated with each other for a decade straight on this sort of lead generation stuff, okay? So two of the top real estate agents in history, you know, talking to you about sign calls today, all right? So that's fair enough, right? Okay, so now over the last 6 years, I've been able to work with some of the other top real estate agents on the planet, platinum members, okay? And I'm pretty good at what I do, so I track and I listen and I ask a lot of questions. And I also document and resource marketing that works, okay? So much of what you're going to see today is a result of all of those years, all of those top agents, the stuff that generates more leads per sign than probably anything that you're doing right now, okay? So my recommendation here is that you copy, you do everything you can to duplicate exactly what you see, right? And that this is important. So this is going to take some time to go through, and I'm going to stumble and stammer just a little bit because it's going to be challenging for me to communicate with you the intricate details of what's going on right here, but everything matters. All right, now most real estate agents will go out there and list a house, and they pull the sign out of their trunk, right? And they walk over to the front of the house, and they stick the sign down in the yard. And, you know, and you're told as a real estate agent that these are the signs that we use. Okay, it's red. Okay, and I don't want to pick on KW, but it's red, and it has this, and has that, and has this. Okay? But look, my first thing is I can't read. Like, I can't read the stuff. If I'm across the road, I can't read what's on the for sale sign. Okay, and you know, and if I can't read it, then I'm sure as heck I'm not going to write anything down, or it's not going to register for me, and I drive on. And the reason is because there's a lot of houses, there's a lot of inventory, there's a lot of stuff for sale. So everything matters here, right? Now let me just make sure that let me see if I've got any questions. As you're listening to me today, you can type in questions into your control panel on GoToWebinar. So up on the upper right-hand corner, there's a little question deal there. You can let's see. Yep, pop open the question box there, type in your question, and I'll get those. So I'm kind of monitoring this myself. Normally I have some help doing it, but everybody's really busy today. So, and I'm laughing at some of you here. One guy says, "Hey, what are sign calls?" I love it. I love it. Okay, so we're going to have some fun. All right. Now I'm going to assume that you're getting some listings that you can get them. Okay. And we've done enough webinars. There's plenty of marketing material posted on the coaching site that you should be getting leads. You should have plenty of leads right now from people who need to sell their property, need to sell sellers. Okay. If you don't have that, you're going to want to go back and review and work on some of that material. All right. So let's talk about some details here of what needs to be in the yard, right? Okay. Now, my recommendation is that you do opposite of what the other agents are doing in your marketplace, okay? So if most of the for sale signs look a certain way, then your job is to make yours look a different way. Here's what I mean by that. You, many times, can't see the forest for the trees, but I want you to drive around when we hang up from the webinar today, and you get out on the road, you drive around, and today pay attention to the signs in folks' yard. And what you're going to see is you're going to see most real estate agent signs are the same, maybe some different colors, but they're mostly the same. They look the same. They're stuck into the ground. But you're also going to see signs from painters and contractors, and this is election season, so you got political signs posted everywhere. All right, so people are numb. Prospects are numb to signs. You drive by them every day because you're used to it and you see it. You don't pay any attention to it. So now your job as a marketer is to pay very close attention to signs out there, right? And whatever the majority's doing, the majority is typically always wrong about everything, so you're going to want to do the opposite or different then. Swim against the tide, so to speak. Is that okay to say it that way? All right. So here's some details. You got the top rider on a for sale sign, and there should be a separate sign on top of the main sign, okay? And the top rider is going to target a very specific prospect so that your prospect, when they drive by you, they say, hey, that's for me. Okay, so we pretty much have two different type of prospects here. We have move-ups and we have first-timers as a majority. Now, there's niche markets and things like that, luxury and stuff like that, but we're gonna focus on this today: move-ups and first-time buyers. Okay, so the top rider has to talk to one of those folks. So your job is to determine this house, who the majority of the buyers are for it, and remember, if you try to be all things to all people, you will dilute your effectiveness. Fair enough? Okay. So let's get as specific and as niche-oriented as we can, okay? Now, write this down. I don't have this in the PowerPoint, I don't think, but write this down for me, okay? If you can't measure it, okay, with me? If you can't measure the results, then don't do it. See, sooner or later, as your real estate business grows, and maybe you step up into the world of having a real tangible real estate business, then you're going to become very concerned with profit. All right? And it's important to know where your money's coming from and where it's going. A return on your investment. So even for sale signs should be trackable in terms of what works and what doesn't work, and are you getting a return on your investment, right? So, but most real estate agents have the same phone number, the same website, the same everything on all their for sale signs, and it's commingled with a good bit of their other marketing and advertising. That's a no-no. Okay, you want to know how much of your business is really coming from a $35 to $55 for sale sign. Okay, and you'll find that the more you optimize your for sale signs, like I'm fixing to show you here, and I love the word fixing, right? Okay, that's me. That's some of the language that we use down here in the southeastern United States, at least for some of us natives down this way, all right? So, but what I'm getting ready to show you, you're going to see that that everything matters and it's measurable, okay? So if you can't measure it, don't do it. And in any level of your business, when money's going out, or marketing or advertising. Okay, by definition, and you're a Craig Proctor coaching program member, okay, in one of our programs at some level, if you know Craig Proctor and you've heard him at all, and you've heard me, then you'll know that we're very, very big on direct response marketing. That is what drives the ship, because we operate on this theory of prospects pursued, run away. PPRA, prospects pursued, run away. So your job on for sale signs is to follow that formula, being able to measure the results, okay? All right. So the top rider targets move-ups or first-time buyers. The main sign, or the big thing in the middle, should be as simple as possible. Very simple, okay? And it needs to stand out and be different than the other real estate agents in your marketplace. I know you've got to have your logo on it. I know you've got to have your name on it. And many of you will have to have your company name, okay, and logo on it. right, as well. So look, the purpose of the for sale sign is to do what? Okay, this is where you got to decide what the purpose of your sign is. For me, the purpose of my for sale sign is to generate leads, pure lead generation, because I won't go broke if I've got an overflow of leads. It's really hard to go out of business, but you can definitely go out of business and lose a lot of money trying to, quote, brand yourself. Now, understand, I think you can get both. So if your brand is complex and your team name is complex and long, you're eating up valuable real estate on your for sale sign when the main purpose of the sign is to generate leads. Okay, so I talk about this in some of my one-on-one consulting with platinum members who have their own real estate company. And they like to leverage their for sale signs to brand their company and stuff like that. All right? Okay, so let's get back to it. All right? Just making some notes here, and then I'm going to show you some pictures. Main sign, stand out, for sale, copy. I like that. Simple logo, simple name, some sort of direct phone number that you can track. My recommendation is that you have a phone number on your for sale sign that is only for sign calls. All right? To me, those are the best leads. Those are hot leads. So when people called the phone number on our for sale signs, all right, look, we knew it was a sign call because it was coming into a hot line. Okay, it was a direct number. It was an 800 number. I'm going to show that to you in a minute. Okay, so I know you got lots of questions about it, and I'm going to walk you through it all now, good and bad, right? But this is a phone number that is just for sale signs, and and I can forward that number to a cell phone. I can forward it to a BlackBerry. I can forward it to my office. In other words, it can move around because those are very, very hot leads, some of the hottest. All right, but it's a phone number, and that's the only place it is. That phone number is not there. It's not on my business cards too, and on my flyers and all these other places at the same time. No. All right, so again, you got to be able to track and measure the result. All right. Next bullet point here is the bottom rider. Let me pull out my little drawing tool here. Yeah, here we go. So next is the bottom rider, okay? And the purpose of the bottom rider, and the reason I say a rider is because it's separate from your for sale sign. If there's separation from the top rider, the middle sign, and the bottom rider, separation will do something psychologically to your prospect's brain, okay? They're forced to have to look at your for sale sign in parts, okay? It's equivalent to, based on material and study, because I didn't know why it worked better, okay, at the time. I just knew that I tested a for sale sign that had everything on it, okay, no riders, but everything jumbled onto one giant sign, and I tested it as 3 separate parts, top rider, middle part, and bottom rider. And the 3 separate parts outpulled the big sign where it was all on there the same, because it was cheaper. It was cheaper to have everything printed on one sign. So I'm all for cheaper, right? But the response was less. Well, what I found out is this is equivalent to, in terms of psychology, equivalent to, say, Publishers Clearinghouse marketing. If you're familiar with the way Publishers Clearinghouse, and that's the, win $10 million or whatever their deal is, they advertise on television. If you follow their marketing, and they're very, very good marketers at selling magazines, is that when you get their package in the mail, there's several different sheets of information material. There's little stamps, and there's big coupons. There's like all kinds of stuff, and it's in different parts and pieces. Well, based on their study, they get more response when there's differences up, because the fingers stay busy and the brain stays busy going from one thing to the other, analyzing each thing, because your brain can only hold one thought at a time. All right, so for whatever, it's equivalent to that, and I hope I'm doing a good job of explaining it, but that's what we found. And I don't know if you know that or not, but now you do, okay? And then, outside of that, is you definitely want to use a secondary sign on all your listings if you can. Now, I know that some of what you're going to see today, okay, let me repeat this. Some of what you're going to see today, you will not be able to do in your present market environment based on ordinances and bylaws and covenants and restrictions of different communities around North America. Okay, some of it you're just not going to. You can only have a certain size sign. It can only be a certain color. You can't have 2 different signs in the front yard. It has to be ordered through some sign company. All the signs look the same in this gated community. All right, so look at. There's rules wherever you go. Whatever game you're playing in marketing for prospects is equivalent to a game because there's rules. So your job is to play within the rules, but leverage it. Right? Find out how you can do a better job playing in the rules. Don't just give up because there are rules there. Okay? So, all right, let's take a look then at some pictures of it. And let's focus first on first-time home buyers. All right? First-time home buyers. Okay. So here's the top rider, okay? And we're going to talk about that here momentarily. Here's the big sign in the middle, okay? And here's the bottom rider. So you can see that? So I'm going to clear that out. Okay. Now, first things first. This ain't no ordinary for sale sign. You follow me? It's not a little stick in the ground little sign. This is a nice aluminum post, very lightweight, but aluminum, that allows me to put a top rider on. It allows me to hang a sign down. It allows me to attach a rider, which you can see is in a different part. The brain will pick up that that's 3 signs right there. Okay, very important. But see this big post? The majority of real estate agents are cheap. They don't understand marketing. They don't even care about it, most of them. So this automatically, when you go with that, say Lowen, this is Lowen is the company that we buy these aluminum signs from. But that right there alone will jack up the exposure. And that doesn't look like a contractor is in there doing some work or some painting. That doesn't look like a political sign. You follow me? It stands out. Okay, so that's the reason for that. I don't want my sign to be mistaken for someone running for office. Okay, and it's funny because I get emailed pretty frequently here signs from some of our Platinum members when they come into the Platinum program, and they've got their picture on it and all this stuff, and I'm like, and it's stuck in the ground, and it looks like they're running for office or something. I'm like, what's the purpose of that? Look, the purpose of the sign is to generate leads. Okay, that's it. The look of the for sale sign can be your brand. All right. So let's go back and take a couple peeks here at this thing. Top rider targeting first-time home buyers. Buy this home with only X number of dollars down. All right, so why is this important? Because affordability is a super-duper hot button, especially first-time home buyers. Okay? So I'm telling first-time home buyers what the minimum down payment is of this property. You get me? So if it's a $200,000 home, as an example, the first-time home buyer house in your marketplace, 200 times 3.5%, run the numbers, okay, and that's what the down payment is. Now, yes, it's a pain in the butt to have peel and stick numbers and put them on the top rider for each particular home. And you can imagine now, I would have anywhere from 200 to 400 listings on any given day. And a lot of them were first-time home buyer houses. And yes, it's a pain in the butt. But I got more leads. So the time and effort that it took to do it produced a greater outcome, as most everything does, right? Look, if it was really easy, then it probably wouldn't generate the result that I'm looking for, right? Okay. So buy this home with only, and you got to have a minimum down payment. First-time home buyer houses, if you're in the United States, can be as low as 3.5% through some government-subsidized loan like FHA. But there are also local counties around the United States that are giving money away, up to a certain amount of money for particular areas. So that means it could be no money down. All right, but very important you focus in on the first-time homebuyer aspect of that property. And affordability is a big hot button. Same thing in Canada. First-time homebuyers in Canada, there are local municipalities and government-subsidized loans that provide for little to no down payment. Okay, so let's suppose you don't have it. Let's suppose it's got to put down 5%, or you got to put down 10% on a first-time homebuyer house. Put that number in there. okay? Because I'm telling you, most buyers, first-time home buyers, and if you survey them, you'll find out they believe they need more money. And if you don't believe me, you pick up the phone and you call some people in apartments around your area and ask them how much they perceive that they need cash-wise to buy a house. And that'll be telling for you right there. All right, so this will automatically get you more prospects. All right, so, and you can see that sign writer is easy to see. All right, let me talk about that for a minute. These letters here, like on the phone number, are about 3 inches high. So what we found is that you've got to be somewhere around 2.5 to 3 inches high on your letters and numbers to be able to read that from 60 feet away. Now, you're probably laughing at me a little bit about the time and the energy that has been put into just a dadgum for sale sign. But I think you know why, because these are some of the best leads we could get. So what's the smallest size number and lettering you can put on a for sale sign and read it from 60 feet away? That's what you got to figure out. What you're looking at here is about 3 inches, okay? All right. All right, so top rider, check. We'll put a little check mark on that right there. All right, let's go back to the main sign now. Talked about the sign standing out. Got the big post right there. Got the first-time home buyer rider. Let's talk about the main part of the sign, okay? All right. See where it says awesome home for sale? Well, I just, from driving around doing the same thing, looking at all the properties listed in Metro Atlanta, they all say the same thing, home for sale or for sale, okay? Most of the signs just said for sale. So early on in my real estate career, when we started really looking at this, I put on their home for sale. And if it was a piece of land, it said land for sale. And if it was a condo, it said condo for sale. You with me? So in other words, I was pretty specific with it. All right, and so most of the listings obviously said home for sale, and I was the only one that had houses out there that said home for sale on the sign. And the funny thing was I was chastised. People made fun of me in my RE/MAX office that I was at, little RE/MAX office, and say, well, you put home on your, it says home for sale. And some guy, comes up, makes a joke, like, no crap, Sherlock. And I'm like, whatever, dude. All I know is I'm getting more calls. Okay, so eventually other real estate agents started doing the same thing. So I was like, okay, what can I say that would be different than all these other guys? So I started calling every listing that we would put on the market awesome home for sale. Okay, now let's talk about that. First of all, that led to me becoming known as the agent in Metro Atlanta with the awesome homes for sale. And that carried over into print marketing, other marketing, online marketing that we would do, awesomehomesList.com and other stuff. Okay, so I know the light bulbs are going off in your head right now if you're not doing this. But referring to all the listings as awesome, awesome was a very neat word. It wasn't a common word. It's not used as all that often. And when it does, it's about something grand, right? So awesome home for sale. So some people would make fun of me and say, Todd, I saw your sign in front of that house that says awesome home for sale. Dude, that's a piece of crap. And I'm like, hey, that's a piece of crap for you. But the guy buying that house, he absolutely is going to say that's an awesome home, okay, because of the price range he's in or the specific fixer-upper that he's looking for. You got me? So it's all relative to the prospect that you're trying to attract. So be careful about playing the real estate agent here and be mindful of being the marketer. Okay, so that was a big jackpot. So there you go, awesome home for sale. And the simple part of the sign is there's the logo, there's my name, and that's it. And the phone number was only on, that phone number was only on for sale signs. That was it. So if you're calling that number and it's ringing into the office or cell phone or BlackBerry, wherever it was forwarded to, that's a sign call. Hey, you got a sign call coming in. Hey, there's a sign call coming on line 1. You with me? Okay. So that was very important. Was it a little extra money to have another phone line? Yeah, business lines were expensive, especially back when we were really started this process. Come down now, but now my IP phone system that I have got multiple phone lines, okay, and I can use a local phone number and do it. So much cheaper now. But is it a pain in the butt or a little more money? Yeah, but your responses go up. Number one, because things aren't commingled and you're able to track stuff. When you can track your dollars, you have more of them. Okay? All right. Now, some of you are going to say, yeah, Todd, but I've got to have my broker's name and stuff on there. Okay. So if your broker is REMAX, then it would say REMAX Communities, okay, and it would have your name under it. And if you have to have a separate or the same phone number on there and your phone number, make it work. Figure it out. Okay? I'm showing you what works best, better than anything else you probably have ever done. Okay? And believe me, I have a lot of real estate agents throwing stuff at me all the time saying, hey, this works great, this works great. And I'm like, well, works great compared to what? And they don't have an answer. I'm like, okay, measure the result against something else, and then you'll know if it works great. Okay, it only works great if you're keeping score. But if you're not measuring it against anything, how do you know? All right. Okay, last part here of the for sale sign is the rider says newhotlisting.com. All right, now why is this important? Well, if you block out the other secondary signs that I've got scattered on this picture here that we're going to talk about in a little while, if you block those out, what you're going to find is, and just look at this main sign, is when you see newhotlisting.com, what is that? What kind of image does that conjure up in your mind? Okay, yeah, it conjures up an image that you can go online and you can get information about the property without having to talk to an agent. You can get information on the property. It sounds like it's a very special home. It's a newer property. It's fresh, just hit the market. There's all kinds of images, but they're all really good images. A little different for each prospect that might look at it out there, but in general, that's what it does. And that URL only appears on for sale signs. Okay? And it points to the VIP buyer page on our Success website. And now if you're typing it in now trying to see what it points to, I don't know where it points because I don't have any for sale signs out there because, you know, I sold my real estate business. And I have no idea what the old real estate company is doing with these things. But I do know that I own newhotlisting.com. Right? That did not stay with the real estate company. There are a few things that I took with me, only because I'm a smart gentleman. And I know the real value in things, and other people don't. Okay, so, but I'm going to show you the landing page here momentarily, okay? I'm going to show you some information lines, landing pages, and stuff like that. But I want to walk through this as slow as possible and chit-chat about it, kick it around, okay? All right. So that's your sign, first-time home buyers. All right? Let's go to move-ups, all right? The only difference on a move-up property is buy this home, I'll buy yours, okay? Now, if you want to get really, really good at it, you may even have a different phone number for first-timers and move-ups because you may have specialists working in your office, some that deal with first-timers, some that deal with move-ups. Okay, not an unwise thing to do. Okay, but you can see the top rider there, buy this home, I'll buy yours. Okay, if it's a move-up house, so what better offer to make than the trade-up? Okay, and that's what I recommend you do. Buy this home, I'll buy yours. Again, I'm showing you, and some of you are asking me questions right now, well, what about this and what about that? And, hey, that's fine, but this is what works best. We've tried all the other things. Okay, you're not going to throw something new at me that I haven't seen. Okay, and I'm just pointing out to you what works the best. Okay, all right. So let's break this down though into a couple of options that you could do. Since some of you are asking about it, is you could have a separate URL for first-time home buyers. And when I go to whatever it is, www.newhotlisting.com, okay, that takes me to your VIP buyer page for first-time buyers. You can become a VIP first-time home buyer and get pictures and descriptions of all the homes that match your home buying criteria, right? Definitely, you could do that. Same thing on MoveUp. You could have www.newhotlisting.net, okay, instead of .com, .net, and when I went there, is you can become a VIP MoveUp buyer and get pictures, descriptions of all the best move-up properties available, matching your home buying criteria. Okay, the more specific you can get, the better. Right? But again, you would want to test it, and you may see that there's a difference. You may see it's not measurable at all, and more of a hassle and expense than to do it. But eventually, if you stay in the business long enough and you grow your business big enough, then these are things that you would test. Okay, I personally found that it did not make a difference. That's why you see one URL and the same phone number on both First Time and Move Up. Okay, another reason is because we had mostly Move Up properties listed in my marketplace. All right. So great stuff, great thing. The light bulbs are going off there, right? Okay, so what would you register here since newhotlisting.com is taken? Hotnewlisting.com is taken. I think Frank P. uses that up in Toronto. Maybe just put your initials there, TW, newhotlisting.com. Okay, try that. But you want to get as close to that URL as possible. And everyone who does hits a home run. All right. So there's the move-up property, and you can see the big difference there is the top rider. But I wanted to talk about some other options as well. Okay, now let's talk about the secondary signs. You know, all those little pictures that you saw in the image there. Let's talk about each one of those. Basically 4 different options. Okay. Radio Talking House I love it. I absolutely love it. I like it better than the other secondary signs. Okay, why? Well, again, very few real estate agents do it. So because very few do it, it probably is something that works pretty well. And if you can get it working well and dialed in, oh, it's a big tipping point for your business. Because it's the same, it's equivalent to this. Are you ready? It's equivalent to this. Let's suppose I've got your home for sale, and every day I stand out by your driveway. And when buyers drive by, I wave my hands around and I stop them. And they roll down their window, and I lean into their car, and I start telling them about all the great benefits that your home has to offer and how it's easy to buy your house. Because if they own a house, then they need to sell it. We will buy their home if it doesn't sell, so they can buy your house. Or if it's a first-time home buyer, if your home's a first-time home buyer house, I can say, and it's easy to buy this house, much easier than the others, because of the special financing that's been arranged. You can buy this home with as little as $6,450 down. Okay? And then I said, here's how you can get additional information on that without having to talk to a real estate agent. Or I said, here's what you need to do now to get more info, okay, and follow through with a no-hassle appointment to preview the property. Whatever I want to do. What would happen if I did that every day at your house if it was for sale, right? The buyers would remember it more. So Radio Talking House does that for you. But very few people on this phone right now or on this webinar, you're using it. And I get it. They're expensive. You know, at one time, I think we had about a 350, I think was the number, 350 radio units. Like I own more radio stations than freaking Clear Channel, you know, down here in Georgia. So I know full well. And yes, they're a pain in the, got to go install them, you know, and there's a troubleshooting deal with it because, you know, they'll get unplugged or there's a power surge and it doesn't work and it has to be, you know, retuned. So yeah, they're kind of a pain in the butt. But I got more leads from signs that had them versus the signs that didn't. So that's why I like them. And you now can get them very inexpensively. So we would tell the homeowner about the problems and issues with Radio Talking House. Okay, and then we began to offer it as an upgrade. You can have a Radio Talking House, your own commercial. It's going to be $195 in additional money that you're paying for us to help you. We just collect that now because we have to order it and install it and do all that stuff. So, or you can go with this other option, which is the radio info line or the everyday open house. So you can use it as an upsell to collect money right away. And when it's installed on top of the Radio Talking House, inside the home is a laminated piece of paper that tells the seller what to do if it ever quits working. All right. So, look, I'm not telling you to go out there and buy a bunch of Radio Talking Houses or anything of the sort, but I'm telling you that it's good technology. It's something you need to be aware of. And if Disney World likes it and it works well for them, I bet you it'll work well for you too. All right. So it's a jackpot for new construction. All right. Anyway, that's Radio Talking House. So that's secondary sign option number 1. And I gave you some info on scripting and that sort of thing. Okay. All right. Secondary for sale sign or secondary sign option would be just Talking House, not Radio Talking House. Okay, but Talking House. And here it is right down here. Okay. Now, why would you not put the Talking House information line? Okay, let's go back to the main thing. Why would I use a separate sign versus just putting this info line on the main for sale sign? Yeah, it's not a trick question, but the reason's really clear. Is because what am I saying down here in this secondary sign? Okay, I'm saying that you don't have to talk to an agent. Right? What am I saying in this sign? You have to talk to an agent. So because of those competing messages, real estate agents will test or put on their for sale signs an info line with the perception being that they'll get more calls. But that's not true. You will actually get less calls to you specifically as an individual. So it's better to provide it as a secondary option. And then the people who are on the fence about talking to you will call you. But the people who absolutely want to talk to you will seek you out. You don't want to take a prospect who's very motivated to talk to you and get information on the property or possibly see it, calling from the street, calling an information line, and then getting a bunch of options. They're just going to hang up and they're going to move on. They're going to like, this is a pain in the ass. Let's go check out the other house down the road. Because what you're telling the people, hold on, what you're telling, you can fight me on this all you want to. But I'm just telling you that we've done it. I can show you the signs where the info line was on the sign. It did not work as well as having it as a secondary sign and doing it this way. Plain and simple. And I had more signs out there to test from. Craig Proctor says the same thing. That's why he doesn't have his info line on the sign. All right. So what you're telling the buyer is, hey buyer, I know you like this house here, but you don't call me. Don't call me. Call the information line. But that's not what you want. You want the buyers to call you. You have to give them that option. It's a secondary sign because it's a secondary option, or it's a secondary sign to promote or compel prospects to follow through on the primary, as we do with Radio Talking House. All right, great. All right, so yes, the Talking House sign, not the Radio Talking House, but the info line. Rick Brash calls it his house calls. I like that. He's branded that info line there, house calls group or whatever it is. So you can call 24-hour recorded information, okay, ID number, whatever, talk to no agent. But it's here. So it would basically be, we would take that. Let me go back here. Oh, my highlighter. Okay, here we go. We would just, this sign would be here. Okay, all right. That's option number 2 for you on secondary sign. Option number 3 would be something like an RBID sign, okay, or if it's a foreclosure or a pre-foreclosure, okay? So let's talk about that. When you see this sign right here, public notice in somebody's yard, what does that tell you? Well, yeah, it tells me that these people really are motivated to sell. Now, if you're a buyer, what type of sellers are you interested in? The ones that are really motivated to sell. Okay, so the first thing that I would ask every seller is, how far can we go with your motivation? Can I tell people that you're extremely motivated to sell? Can I tell people that you're getting a divorce? Can I tell the public that your dad died and this is an estate sale? Can I tell the public that this is a fixer-upper? Can I tell the public that you're getting foreclosed on? And the reason I'm asking you the question, Mr. Seller, is because when we tell the public that, and we use that as leverage, they're going to think that your home is a better buy than all the others that are being offered for sale. You're going to get more offers. Okay, now, most sellers would go along with that. Now, remember that RBID, if you're not familiar with RBID, then, this is not a webinar to promote that system, but it was invented basically so that regular Mr. and Miss Smith home sellers could give a greater perception of value around their home in a foreclosure market. If you're a house on a street and you're surrounded by foreclosures, it's tough for you to compete because the public's perception is the bank-owned properties are worth more to them because they're better deals, right? So how do you compete? Well, then I'm not going to say pretend to be a bank-owned property, but you create a perception of a third-party sale or a perception of third-party system of selling, something like that. You can create an auction effect around the property by doing it, and that's what RBID does. So you can go to www.rbidhouses.com, rbidhouses, Houses.com, find out more about RBID. www.rbid, that's RBID houses, Houses.com. One more time, rbidhouses.com, and you can find whatever you want to know about RBID there, okay? So that's really slick. But what else can we do here? So let's suppose we don't like RBID, or you don't want to use it, or you don't want to pay the $99 a month to be an RBID subscriber and put all your listings in RBID, okay? What else can you do? Well, if it's a divorce sale, then maybe it says public notice divorce sale. If it's a distress sale, financial distress, public notice distress sale. If it's a foreclosure, public notice bank-owned home for sale. Okay, and then the information line under it, free 24-hour talking house info, and you got your information line. You can see the ID number is going to direct people to whatever ID number you want, whatever you want to tell them. And for me, it would be how to get priority access to all of the homes that are really good deals, other RBID homes or other bank-owned properties or other divorce sales. You with me? Because that's who's going to be calling this info line. I'm not going to waste time telling them all about the property. Feature, for his home has 5 bedrooms, 3.5 baths. Because as soon as you utter that, if they're like, oh, shit, I need 6 bedrooms, then they're just going to hang up and move on. All right, so be real careful about selling features. Your job is to sell benefits, and buyers want information, right? They want good deals. So leverage that. You can receive pictures and descriptions of all the divorce sales matching your home buying criteria in the area. This is a great way to get a good deal on a home. Okay, and you know what? That's what the buyers, that's on the sign, what they attracted to. Remember, this is a secondary sign, not the same as the main sign. So it's like a commercial that I'm running in conjunction with the main for sale sign. Yeah, cool. Now, let's move on to the fourth option as a secondary sign for you. Okay, now, why am I showing you all these? Well, this is my choice. Okay, I use, let me get rid of that scribbling there. I use this and this as upsells, upsells. That means it costs the seller extra money to have one of these things. All right? Now, sooner or later, you are going to be in a position where you're going to figure out that, hey, I need more cash flow. How can I make more money? Just like we're having this conversation today, how can I get more sign calls? How can I make more money selling houses? Well, there's only 3 ways to grow your business: increase the number of sales, increase the size of sale, increase the number of times a client comes back and buys from you. It doesn't have to be real estate. So increasing the size of sale. When I talk about that on many of the coaching calls or conferences or wherever I'm speaking, many people say that they've got to increase the average price of the home or something like that. But that's harder to do. Just increase the amount of money you make per transaction. You don't have to increase the overall price of the home. You can't do that. That's up to the homeowners. And moving into a different price range may not even be cost effective because there's no demand for properties in that price range. Just charge more per listing. Offer upsells and upgrades, just like McDonald's and Chick-fil-A do. You drive through the drive-through at Chick-fil-A and you want a slice of lemon. You order lunch. Hey, let me have a #1 combo with a sweet iced tea, which will be pretty common down here in Georgia. And the person on the other end of the drive-through says, hey, would you like a slice of lemon meringue pie with that? And it's either yes or no. And if it's yes, I pay another $1.50, whatever, and I've got my pie. And I get to have my pie and eat my lunch too. Okay, so it's a sin not to make the offer if you have it available. All right. So the 4th option then is this everyday open house, and this is pretty popular with platinum members. Okay, they've done that, but we came up with this a long time ago. I'll tell you a funny story. Let me see what time it is here. Ooh, man. I got 2 more things I got to show you, but we've got about another 15 minutes. All right, so I'll tell you a funny story. You ready? And this is funny. I got a call from a seller one day. This was several years ago, and I remember it because this is where the everyday open house came from. And some of you have heard this story, so but I'm going to repeat it for everybody. And the seller calls me up and says, "Hey Todd, look, I know you've been working really hard to sell my house, but you know we're going to cancel our listing and we're going to go list with somebody else." You guys ever had one of those calls? I'm the only one that gets those kind of calls. Okay, well, Todd, we're going to cancel our listing. We're going to go do something else. And I'm like, okay, well, why are you doing that? What are you thinking? Well, the other agent said they were going to do an open house every Sunday until they sold it. So here I'm thinking really fast because I'm pretty smart and light bulbs are going off in my head. And so I said the first thing that come to my mind, which was, Mr. Smith, and I don't remember the guy's name, but hey, Mr. Smith, why would you consider taking such a large, really giant step backwards in the marketing and the exposure of your home and do something like that? And he's like, well, what do you mean? I'm like, why would you go from advertising your home as being open every day to only being open for 3 hours once a week? I'm not sure I follow you on why you want to do that and how that's a benefit for you. And the guy's like, what do you mean? I haven't seen you over here. I'm like, I'm sorry. Are you in front of your computer? Okay, so I emailed him a copy of his MLS printout. So look down on the, just in this one form of marketing, okay? See where it says right there that your home is available to be shown and previewed every day between 9 o'clock and 8 o'clock? See, we advertise your home as being open every day. We call it the everyday open house. And, of course, that's just words, but what it allowed me to do was obviously create doubt against the other agent, because I think we all know that someone who's going to go sit in an open house every Sunday for 3 hours, number one, probably not going to happen. It's an unrealistic thing to do, and he has no leverage. He's not going to be able to produce a lot buyers. You can get more buyers calling if you're advertising more listings. So we already know this whole story about that. So, but it allowed me to create some doubt, have further conversations with the seller, keep them around, and basically end up with a price reduction to sell the house. But that was where the everyday open house started. So your listings, if they have a lockbox on them, they're really open every day. So you can leverage that. And this is what's so amazing, is that real estate agents, they don't tell the public this. But think about it. If your listings are the ones that are open every day, okay, even though the other properties being on the market for sale are probably the same way, but they're not marketing it that way. That's called preemptive marketing. It's the same as the buyer profiling system. Okay, I remember back in the day when we first started advertising the buyer profiling system. Okay, you can become a VIP buyer, beat out all the other buyers to the hot new listings out there. It's a free service. You tell us what you're looking for. We're going to set you up in our home hunter service, and you're going to get all of the properties as soon as they match your home buying criteria emailed over to you right away. So we were the first people in Metro Atlanta to do this, and agents were hollering at me. They were screaming at me. People at the RE/MAX office I was at, they would come up and they would say, Todd, you know what? That's BS. That's just the MLS. That's nothing special. And I'm like, okay, if you say so. And I would just turn and walk away, knowing that that agent is a dunce because they're not going to say it. Like they're not going, because they don't think it's anything special. For them, they're not going to even market it. But for the buyers out there, if you're a buyer and an agent has the ability to set them up in the MLS to get listings sent over as often as they hit the marketplace, but you're not telling them that, then you're not worth the energy and effort for me as a buyer to hook my wagon to. I want to hook my wagon to the guy who's a better marketer because he will generate more leads or he will give me more access or whatever it is, right? You're just better. So it's preemptive marketing is all it is, right? Use the same information line that whatever you use. You see the URL is a little bit different right there. And, of course, on the ID number, you can tell them whatever you want to tell them. But it would basically be a really good offer to gain additional information, something better than what they called on. All right? I knew you'd like that. So those are your 4 options for secondary signs. Great stuff, huh? All right, 2 more quick things here. I'll let you get back to selling some houses. The URL, newhotlisting.com, twNewHotlisting.com. I had a call a little bit ago from Mr. Bill Watson, Platinum member, so that would be BW, newhotlisting.com, for example, okay? All right. So where's it going to take them? It's going to drive them to this landing page right here on your website, right? We call it the VIP buyer. You can become a VIP buyer and beat out other buyers to hot new listings, right? How to receive a weekly printout of all new listings that match your home buying criteria, mailed to you free of charge without obligation. And the key here is you can change words. You can say emailed, you can say mailed, whatever, right? Here's how it works. As a VIP buyer, you get this. Those are benefits, okay? And the biggest benefit is this, because you're there first, right? Very important, because you're there first. All right, so write this down on your notepad. Priority access to proprietary information. That's what buyers want. All right, so you're going to find a way to articulate that in words, ways that your prospects can understand, and you'll get more leads, right? And, of course, call to action. Just fill out the form, click Submit to begin receiving the information. Okay, so great stuff there. Let's take a look real fast, and some of you guys have been emailing and calling. Posting on the control panel there about the information line scripts. So here you go. This will be a good screenshot for you. So if you call any of these info lines, okay, info line, info line, info line, okay, what might you hear? Okay, you probably won't hear anything if you call those phone numbers now. That was for the old real estate company that I sold, and I really just don't know what they're using or what they're not using. My guess is they would have any outside people blocked if they're using that phone number at all. Okay, but when you call it, hi, you've reached Todd Walters Real Estate Information System. You can be automatically connected to our office at any time by pressing 0. All right, so another thing you can say is you can get up-to-date pricing on any home at any time by pressing 0. You can talk to a live operator. You can talk to a licensed real estate agent. This is really important. Make sure that you're specific here. You can talk to a luxury new home specialist. You can talk to me automatically at any time by pressing 0. Okay, so use the 0 transfer on your info lines if you're using them on your secondary signs or in your other marketing. And then keep your offers pretty simple here. First offer is, hey, for instant email access to every home for sale, matching your exact home buying criteria, press 1, and you can have every one of them emailed right to your private email address as often as they hit the marketplace. Again, press 1 now for instant emails of all hot new listings for sale matching your home buying criteria. Right? If you prefer to sell your present home before buying another, press 2 now for details on how we will buy your present home at a price agreeable to you if it doesn't sell before you take possession of your next home. There's no gimmicks, there's no wasted time, and no frustration. All sales are as is. So, but there are some restrictions. Just press 2 now to find out more. And if you're calling for more information on one of our featured properties for sale, and you know the 4-digit ID code advertised, just enter that now, and you'll be connected to a pre-recorded message. Then you can order a fully loaded feature sheet complete with pictures, special financing options of that particular property, even up-to-date pricing. Thank you for calling Todd Walter's team, Real Estate Information System. That's it. So if you're looking for a pretty good information line script, that's a good one there as far as the introduction goes. Now, that's why, let me repeat, that is why that number is not here. Because when people like what they see, like this cool looking house back here, right, they may want to talk to an agent. Don't deny them the opportunity. All right. So there you go. That's how you can optimize your for sale signs to attract more buyer and seller leads in today's market. Now, some of you have been asking some questions periodically, made some statements. We'll do our best to get to those, get some emails out to you. Thanks for taking advantage of that GoToWebinar control panel there. And it was great seeing everyone out in Anaheim, California. Definitely already looking forward to the very next event that's coming up in May 2011. So, hey, look, stay connected, stay aggressive in your marketing, stay very, very well dialed in to the coaching going on here. Some great golden nuggets in this PowerPoint and webinar that's been shared with you today. It's up to you whether you want to give it a shot, test this information, put it to work for yourself, okay, or continue in doing what you're doing right now. My recommendation is if you've got something working really, really well right now, don't stop doing it. Test against it. Okay, anything that's producing a lot of profit for you, don't stop it. Test against it. Got it? Okay. All right. So fantastic. Listen, thanks again for your time. That's going to wrap up our webinar. Let's go sell. Let's go sell some houses. Good luck to you, and we'll talk to you real soon. Now, bye bye.